This is the story of two best friends and the dangerous secret that tore their destinies apart. Before we continue, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our life-changing stories. In the quiet village of Ayetoro, where the nights were ruled by the sound of crickets and the days were filled with laughter, lived two girls, Mira and Tomi. People used to say, "If you see Mira, you will see Tomi." They were called the twin souls of Ayetoro. They grew up eating from the same plate, washing each other's clothes at the stream. Even when one cried, the other felt the tears. Their bond was unbreakable. At least, that's what everyone thought. Mira was the gentle one, quiet, always lost in her books. The one who taught Tomi mathematics under the mango tree. Tomi was the fire, bold, loud, and full of dreams she could not even explain. One day, the village gathered under the old mango tree, waiting for the list of students who got the scholarship to study in the city. When the teacher raised the paper and called the first name, the whole village went silent. Mira Adiniai. The crowd screamed. Tomi cheered the loudest. But the smile never reached her heart. The entire village escorted Mira home. Her mother danced. Her siblings jumped around her. And Tomi stayed by Mira's side the entire night as she packed her small wooden box. She folded Mira's dresses, arranged her slippers, even placed Mira's Bible carefully on top of her belongings. She smiled, pretending to be happy. But that smile was covering fear. Fear of losing her best friend. Fear that Mira would return a different person. Fear that life had chosen to favor one of them, while leaving the other behind. When the bus to the city arrived at dawn, Mira hugged Tomi tightly. "Tomi, I will never forget you," she whispered. But as the bus drove away, Tomi watched it until it disappeared, and a whisper slipped from her lips. "Don't forget me. Don't leave me behind." Years passed. Mira came back to the village during holidays with new clothes, new accent, new dreams, and slowly whispers began. "Tomi, see your friend? She don't turn big girl now. City life sweet her, she no remember us again." Tomi laughed it off. But the seed of jealousy had already grown roots. Mira eventually moved permanently to the city after graduation and got a good job. There, she met Gideon, the charming, wealthy man who always looked perfect in crisp shirts and a polished smile. He bought her flowers. He took her on dates. The relationship looked like a fairy tale. When Mira showed Tomi his picture on her phone, Tomi's heart tightened. "This is your man?" she asked with wide eyes. "Yes." Mira smiled. "We're getting married soon." That night, Tomi couldn't sleep from that moment. Tomi's jealousy turned into something darker. Mira invited Tomi to the city to live with her for a while she found her feet. "Come and start a new life," she said. Tomi accepted. But not with gratitude. Her mind was already planning something else. Tomi arrived at the Mira's apartment with a small bag and a big dream. But when she saw Mira's beautiful apartment, the modern kitchen, the chandelier lights, the way Gideon kissed Mira's forehead, something snapped inside her. This should have been my life. Everything Tomi ever wanted was right in front of her. And she wanted it. Badly. It started small. Tomi wore Mira's gowns when she wasn't home. She laughed too loudly at Gideon's jokes. She sat too close. And Gideon noticed her beauty, her boldness, her hunger. Mira trusted them both blindly. And for 5 months, Tomi and Gideon had a secret affair behind her back. They would meet when Mira left for work. They would whisper, giggle, and pretend to hate each other in front of her. Tomi believed she had won. She believed she was finally living the life she deserved. Little did she know she was playing with fire. One quiet afternoon, Mira came home earlier than usual. She opened the door gently, walked into her bedroom, and froze. Her best friend, her childhood sister, her once inseparable twin soul, was in her bed. Mira's heart shattered before her voice could form words. Tomi screamed and tried to cover herself. Gideon jumped up in confusion, but Mira didn't shout. She didn't fight. She didn't insult them. She simply picked up her handbag, wiped her tears quietly, walked out of her own house, and never returned. Tomi took over the apartment like a queen who had conquered her throne. She changed the curtains. She took over the wardrobe. She posed for pictures in the living room mirror. In her mind, I have arrived. I'm living the life she didn't know how to enjoy. But what Tomi didn't know was this. Gideon was a violent man. A man who hid behind wealth. A man Mira had been silently enduring, praying God would change. Tomi had snatched a man who was never a blessing. She had taken over a life that was never sweet. And slowly, very slowly, her arrival began to look like a trap. Sometimes, the life you envy is the same life someone else is praying to escape. After Mira walked out of the house that afternoon, she didn't look back. She stayed with a colleague for 2 weeks, crying quietly, blaming herself, replaying every moment with Tomi in her mind. Meanwhile, Tomi was busy enjoying her new life. She wore Mira's perfumes, sat on Mira's side of the bed, cooked in Mira's kitchen, took Mira selfies. Mira would never see. She felt victorious, but her victory was short-lived. It began with small things. Gideon complaining about her cooking, grumbling about her voice, rolling his eyes whenever she talked. Tomi laughed at first, thinking it was love. Tomi ignored the signs. Then one night, Gideon came home very late, reeking of alcohol. Looking irritated, Tomi had been waiting for hours. She was tired, hungry, and stressed. The moment he entered, she shouted, "Gideon, do you know what time it is? Why are you just coming home? You didn't even call." Her voice echoed through the apartment. Gideon stopped, turned slowly, looked at her with a coldness she had never seen before. "What did you just say to me?" he asked quietly. Before she could repeat herself, he exploded. He grabbed her by her arm and pushed her against the wall. Glass shattered. Tomi screamed. "Never raise your voice at me," he growled. That was the night Tomi realized she didn't win a man. She walked into a cage. After that day, Gideon stopped pretending. He shouted over small things. He monitored her calls. He forbade her from going out without him. One evening, Tomi served him food. He tasted it and flung the plate across the room because it was too spicy. raised his hand again. Tomi's world shattered. The life she had fought for was the same life Mira had been silently suffering in. And finally, Tomi understood. She inherited a nightmare. Tomi tried to leave. Gideon locked the door, took the keys, said she belonged to him. Now she understood Mira's silence. Now she understood the pain Mira had carried alone. Now she understood what she had destroyed. Her envy had led her into a prison. Late one night, after a violent outburst, Gideon fell asleep on the couch. Tomi quietly opened the kitchen door, slipped out barefoot, and ran into the street. She didn't know where to go, but her feet carried her to the one person she never thought she would see again, Mira. When Mira opened the door and saw her broken, bleeding, trembling, she froze. "Mira, please, please help me," Tomi whispered. Mira looked at her for a long moment, her eyes full of hurt, betrayal, confusion, and love all mixed together. The friend who stabbed her was now asking for healing. "Why, Tomi?" Mira whispered. "Was my happiness too heavy for you to watch?" Tomi dropped to her knees. "I was jealous. I was angry. And now I see what I destroyed. Please don't leave me. I don't have anyone else." Tears rolled down Mira's face. She bent down slowly, held Tomi's shaking shoulders, and said, "I forgive you." But forgiveness doesn't erase the lesson. Mira helped Tomi report Gideon. With evidence of abuse, the police took him in. Tomi went back to the village for healing. She stayed with her mother for months, slowly rebuilding her life. Mira later came to visit. She hugged Tomi gently and said, "We can be friends, but we can never be who we used to be." Their sisterhood didn't die, but it would never be naive again, because envy had burned the bridge, and only scars remained. True friendship demands loyalty. The moment jealousy enters, love becomes a battlefield.